I qualified for Commonwealth Games for the Isle of Man 2018, but I wasn't selected as part of the team.
Imagine dedicating years of your life to one goal and then losing it overnight.
And I got about midway through the second round, which was just like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to make it through to the end.
She went from elite boxing to completely questioning herself.
So I'd done the Spine Challenger North. I finished well on that one. I was third overall for that one, but first girl.
And somehow, that heartbreak led her into one of the hardest endurance sports on earth.
The further you get into the race and the longer it is, the more you have to lean on your competitors.
From failed weigh-ins and missed dreams to world-class ultramarathons, this is Nikki Arthur's unbelievable journey.
So today we're joined by Nikki Orran. Orran, we've obviously chatted a few times before as well for your ultra running expertise. So welcome humans to the podcast.
Thank you.
We're going to start with yourself, Nikki. We're going to get to know you a little bit more, your background in running, obviously ultra running. I don't know whether Orran got you into that or that's where you two met. I don't know. We can go through that story as well. So I read a little bit online that you're a runner by, your background's running, if we want to say road running, etc. So do you want to tell us a bit about how you got into running to start with? I
actually come from a boxing background, and I did a lot of road running as part of weight management. And yeah, I have always done it. I've just never been, that into it. I did it when I was 16, 17, 18, did a few charity 10Ks and stuff like that. But I moved away for a sandwich placement when I was at university way back when, and joined a kickboxing club whilst I was there, and sort of got into martial arts around about, I guess, my sort of mid-20s, and then running was just sort of part of that. And then boxing.
Any good at boxing?
I qualified for Commonwealth Games for the Isle of Man 2018, but I wasn't selected as part of the team, so didn't go. And then after that, I found that really difficult. It was quite I struggled quite a lot with not getting selected for the team. It was very much too much part of my identity at that time, and that was a big heartache. And I went into the national championships 2 or 3 months later, had an absolutely terrible weight cut, and just fell completely out of love with it.
And was the weight cut then at the time, were you too heavy, or did you just pick a class too light for where you were?
I was just a bit heavy, just over. So I was boxing. I was hoping to go into the Commonwealth Games at 51, but I boxed really easily at 54. But for whatever the reason at these national championships, I just could not hit that 54. And I used my whole window of weight cut, everything, stark naked, getting weighed in, stuff like that. It was it was wild. And then because I was such a lightweight category, I literally only had about 40 minutes from that weight cut to then boxing, and I just didn't have the time to rehydrate, refuel properly. And I got about midway through the second round, it was just oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to make it through to the end. And it just sort of sealed the deal for me for a while. And
can I ask, getting into boxing, was that, I assume you're Scottish?
Yeah,
Scotland.
Yeah.
Was that something that your parents try and help with, not saying you were undisciplined, but disciplined, or were your family into boxing? What took you down the boxing route?
Nothing like that.
Or you just feisty and wanted to
across the road for me when I moved to Macclesfield, and it just made a lot of sense just to go and try it. And it got on really well with the sort of local club there. And then when I moved back for my final year back to Glasgow, I started going to a gym called the Grip House, quite famous Muay Thai gym in Glasgow. And then I moved up to the Isle of Lewis for a teaching job, and there was a Muay Thai gym there as well, so that just sort of grew the love. And then when I moved over to the Isle of Man, I'm not sure if you know him, but I met Ben Corkish, and he had a Thai gym here as well, and it just sort of continued from that. I loved Muay Thai. I'd been to Thailand and I had a couple of fights there, but I just wasn't getting enough fighting. I just really liked fighting. I really wanted to, but I just wanted to be in the ring. I hated the build up, but actually being in the ring and like competing was just like, I got such a buzz from that, and I loved it.
So Muay Thai, explain a bit about what you can and can't do in that.
So Muay Thai is like all striking and what we call clinching, but yeah, knees, elbows, leg kicks, and striking with your hands as well. Right. And clinching. It's a very fine art, isn't it? Orran's done some Thai boxing as well. And like throws, not in the same way like, you might see on UFC where they're taking people to the ground and stuff like that. But yeah, they score quite high with clinching as well. So, but I just love fighting.
I was going to say, when you're saying the fighting, I'm always interested when people do the combat side to it. Is it you just like being in the ring hitting someone, or is it the technique? And no, but you talk about some people like getting discipline of it, sometimes learning all these techniques to try and outdo the opponents, and then you've got some people who just like being in the ring. And I was just wondering, kind of yourself there, is there a combination, or is it just you like that, I guess, pressure and one-on-one against someone?
I think that's what I liked the most, because technically I wasn't that able, if I'm completely honest, and I just was a hard worker, which is probably how it's fared into ultra running quite well, because I just was a hard worker. I just have a tank and I just will grind it out for like the 3 minutes of the round, and it got me out of trouble in quite a lot of fights, so I did well, when it comes to boxing in particular, it is much more of a finesse. And when I moved up to sort of the elite level, I started to, I wouldn't say get found out, but I started to lose more fights because they knew how to deal with somebody that would put them under pressure. And but I just really enjoyed, I loved the training, including the running. I just loved everything that sort of pieced together for it. It just, when I was with Ben in his Thai gym, and the sort of camaraderie around all the boys, and Christy who was there, it just was such a massive part of my life for a long period of time, and I got so much from it. Like Ben always talks about like unlocking levels of yourself, and he was always just like, yeah, it's not me doing it, it's you. And he was right. I always kind of felt like it was, him helping me to get to certain like places, certain levels, but he was just unlocking like confidence and self-belief, and he was a great coach.
Can I go back to earlier you mentioned about boxing identity, and we see a lot, don't we, where you sport, and you see it with like professional athletes as well, they come out of sport and their identity is the sport, and there's a difficult transition there. And obviously you work in Ironman sport. I'm not sure the section, maybe you can talk a little bit about that within the Ironman sport, but is that, again, I guess something you'll talk to, and I know you coach people now, making sure that their identity is beyond even if it's ultra running or whatever that is. So talk a bit about that from your own experience as well and what you've learned. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, that's like what my sort of role was developed for with Ironman Sports. So it's like student athlete development, but it's all around performance lifestyle and the holistic picture of the athlete. And like, I won't really talk to them about what they're doing for performance training, that sort of thing. Like, you are not just the swimmer, you are the plays the piano, like whatever it is that they're doing on top. And I think, that experience for the Commonwealth Games, I talked a lot about it in my interview, because I have learned a lot from that, because it really, really was such a difficult period of time in my life, because I'd felt like I'd put everything into it, and just to lose out on selection, it just was really tough. But I have all that sort of experience and difficulty to sort of talk about, and I had plenty of other identity. It just felt like I didn't at the time, and it's just trying to help with that perception of everything that they're doing, because sport is all consuming, and it has to be, especially as you get to that sort of high level, elite level. But it's just that remembering what's your why, and what are you getting from it, and just remembering that it's not life or death. You are a sports person, and sport is an amazing thing, but that's it. You can leave it at the door like that. And I think there's I'm not sure how much the Winter Olympics you followed, but there was loads of examples of that came out of the Winter Olympics, athletes being I got burnt out at a young age, and I've come back, and it's on my terms, and I love it now, and my motivation is back. And it's just really great to hear those sorts of conversations being put out in the media. You can be you can be both. You can be a high performer, but also completely live a normal life as well. Yeah.
In the Olympics, I must say I didn't see much of the Winter Olympics, but it was Eileen
Gu. Yeah.
And I mean, if you listen to her, she's like, again, young lady, and just head screwed on, just massive perspective on life. And she got asked some, like, one asked her about her, in fact I played it when I was doing the podcast with Matt Richardson about the
her brain,
how your brain works, and it's just like her answer was so amazing.
Good.
And then another one about perspective of only quote unquote winning 2 silvers.
And she was just like, what, like almost like, what a ridiculous like way to look at it.
Perspective.
Exactly. And completely.
Obviously, really good people around her as well. So I did Muay Thai. Is it Muay Thai?
Muay Thai.
Yeah. Did you still do that, or
no?
Because you don't want to get injured on the basis.
I don't do any more combat sports now. I was getting too many black eyes, and I was sort of working my way up within the education sector. I always felt a little bit like awkward in a parental meeting with like a black eye or a dodgy nose. And but like I say, the Commonwealth Games was tough. I did go back to boxing. You know, I sort of found the motivation to go back, and like my club were great, and we all sort of got back on track. And then COVID happened, and all the gyms like shut and stuff like that. And that's when I properly sort of started running a bit more, I guess, because that was all you could do. My friend Olivia and my friend Kevin Edwards, we sort of come up with a challenge to run the Radna Fallen, and then that kind of was what started my ultra running.
What brought you to the Isle of Man?
A teaching job.
Oh, okay.
Right. So I was.
And you've been here before?
I had been here before once to visit my friend who had sent me to the teaching job. So like I say, I was up on the Isle of Lewis in the Western Isles of Scotland. That's where I got placed after my teaching degree at uni, my teaching postgrad, and that was like very, very insular, and it just was getting a bit too much for me. And Lindsay, who lived here at the time, was just like, oh, why don't you look at a teaching job on the Isle of Man? And then that's how I ended up applying to Ramsey Grammar, was where I went to work initially.
It's like that remote school, do you get placed there? Because I assume they find it hard to get teachers, so then it's kind of the first graduates out are kind of quote unquote put in the difficult places, as in not difficult, but like remote people. It's not high on your list.
Box. So you can tick a box to get a bonus. So me and Lindsay were like, oh, we'll tick the box to get the bonus, because it was like $8,000 or something like that. When you're a student, it was a lot of money. And we were like, we'll go and travel America before we start our first like teaching roles. She got placed about 20 minutes down the road from where we lived, and I got placed up in the Western Isles. I got my letter through, and it was all in Gaelic. I couldn't even read it, and I was like, oh god. But I had a brilliant time up there. Like, the school was amazing. It was a big school, like, you know, it was the only school, but it was a big school. It was about 1,000 kids, called the Nicholson Institute. And it was brilliant. Kids are amazing up there, and I really learned how to be a good teacher. And there wasn't like a lot of behavioural management problems or anything like that. I really learned how to teach well. And then it was just time to sort of move. But I had my Muay Thai there, so it was great. But I really was getting like, I really want to, sparring was really like building me on. I really wanted to have that first like fight. I just was ready to move into.
I'd imagine I'm stereotyping, but like if you end up in a city school in Glasgow, it's probably a lot different. I would suspect.
No, completely. When I was doing when I was doing my teacher training, I was really lucky in a way, because I got placed in a private sector school called Kelvinside Academy that literally was one of the most high-end schools that you could probably find in Scotland, and it was brilliant. Again, really learned how to be a teacher. But then I got placed in a place called Drumchapel, which was probably some of the most like, really high poverty levels, really difficult children, lots of kids with EAL as well, like refugees, things like that in the school. The school had like no money, and it was just like could have got two different like experiences, and I really, really had to learn how to manage behaviour in that. And I remember my tutor coming and just being like, you've not got this, because I really didn't. I found it really hard to sort of manage the behaviour in that school. But you just experience in time and things like that. But that was eye opening.
What did you teach?
I'm a chemistry teacher. I was a chemistry teacher.
Right.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
Yeah, I failed chemistry. Let's move on. Okay, so we get into running. We're in the 2000s now, COVID,
yeah.
doing some running. So is it then, I assume there's a competitive edge based on you fighting, and what, obviously from boxing, etc., you want to win. So was the initial thought, or was it quickly in your mind, I want to start doing events? And I always think when I look at ultras as well, that I always feel, I could be wrong, and obviously Orran's at the pointy end of ultra running, but it's the competition is really yourself. Like I go and do bike races and there's like 40, 50 people and you're kind of mixing in there, but ultra, from the outside, and I'm just about to experience one, it's all really about just...
Yeah.
So how does that feel for you if you go into a competition then for an ultra? Is it, and you can feed in as well, Orran, is it all just what I do? I don't really, obviously you can't control the other runners, but it's such a long event, it's just...
Yeah. You put it quite well, I think, when you talk about, the earlier stages of a long race where you are competitive, and then
no one's chatting.
Yeah, nobody wants to speak to each other, and it's like, you're racing, but the further you get into the race and the longer it is, the more you have to lean on your competitors, and
everything starts breaking down, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you just need that you just need another human next to you, don't you?
Definitely helps.
And then the that's what the race becomes. It always was that, but it becomes the challenge, as opposed. Well, if you're at the pointy end at the time, then the challenge is still the challenge is always to do your best, but there's more race mode if you're in the top 3 or close to that. But generally, on these really long ones, you don't know how it's going to unfold. So it's you versus the challenge, really. And that's why you start to bond with the people around you, because you realise that.
They're in the trenches as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So your first foray into the endurance, was that the challenge around the Radna Fall?
Yeah.
So from just thinking about running, you went kind of straight into a big challenge there.
I think, we were talking about it briefly earlier, like I'd done the parish, which, I actually think is a really good sort of stepping stone into ultra running. I'd done the parish a couple of times and I have a very colourful history with it, because it's put me in hospital twice, but I've also finished it twice and in a good time as well. And I learned a lot about what I needed to do with regards to fueling, that sort of like where my mind could go. I know that I'm definitely stronger in the second half. Like I need a good warm up, whether that's 40 miles or 400 meters, I don't know. But I'm good. I definitely am better in the second half of the race, and the parish sort of, made me sort of realise that. I'd also done an Ironman when I turned 30. And I had I didn't cycle and I didn't really swim. I don't know why I wanted to do an Ironman, but it was the challenge for my birthday type thing. And again, on the marathon, I just felt stronger and stronger and stuff like that. So I hadn't done ultra running, no, but the parish in my eyes is very much an ultra, and it had given me sort of confidence that 100 miles was doable. And that's kind of what led to the RAD.
And especially, like you said there, it's the mentality, the being able to know that even when your body might start wanting to slow yourself down, it's like we know those things. It's that mental battle. So at least, as you said, you've had experience on that. Yeah. So it's going to help.
100%. Yeah.
Another hit took Mr. and Mrs. But I assume did you meet Orran through the running then, you guys?
Yeah. We chatted. We had. I think you had went out for a run on the RAD and put up a picture of something. I was like, I just mentioned that was my favourite bit. It was around Mackald. Like, I love that bit on the RAD falling around Mackald. And we kind of just got talking from that, didn't we?
Yeah, we got talking and then kind of stopped. Just fizzled out a bit. But then we got chatting again, didn't we? Or something?
Yeah, around about sort of lockdown coming out, wasn't it? The coming out of lockdown. And you were like, try the orienteering challenge at Southborough, and I was like, I can't navigate to save my life at the moment, but yeah, sure.
At that stage, were you coaching or were you just merely?
I had a couple of people that I was coaching, but I hadn't kind of ventured into it big time, what have you. But I remember inviting you to go and do this orienteering challenge, and we did it together, and then we were up on top of Southborough. It was a really dead nice evening. It was at that point where it was just like like looking, you could like see as far north as possible and as far south, and I was like, me and you are like some of the fewest people that have actually ran this entire coast of this entire island, and it was just like, felt like, even though I didn't really know each other very well, it felt like a little bit of a special moment. You know,
it just reminded me, as you sat here from when we first did a podcast, which was maybe even pre-COVID, you did boxing, didn't you? Because you were in Thailand. So lots in common.
We went to the same gym. I didn't know this at the time, and I didn't know that Orran knew Ben, my coach. But
I actually trained at the same gym at the same time as Ben, her Thai boxing coach. We met each other in the gym. From the Isle of Man, just bumped into each other in the gym. It was a bit mental in Chiang Mai.
Who'd win?
Good answer.
Have no fury.
Very true. So, what was your first big ultra?
It was actually a GB Ultras one. I signed on to the Scotland 100, which is along the Southern Upland Way. But unfortunately, the weather was so bad during the race, they called it, didn't they? At 75 miles it was. So
you were doing well at the time.
I was first lady, but I was fourth, I think, wasn't I?
Overall.
But it's like running in Scotland in the middle of October. It might happen, mightn't it? So, so that was my first big race, and then I think what was the next one?
Well, you were trying to get into the West Highland Way.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And you didn't get in, and I did, and you were fuming. You were probably fuming.
I was absolutely fuming.
But the year after, you did get in.
I did, yeah.
And you've done the spine.
Yes.
Is it I'm going to use the word shorter version, but obviously in the context of things, which I think you qualified, didn't you, for the Europeans, was it, or Worlds? Based off that, or have I made that up?
No, you're right. So I'd done the Spine Challenger North,
which is how far?
160 miles.
You set the record on that.
I got the record. I finished well on that one. I was third overall for that one, but first girl. And then I did UTS in Wales in May, and that was one of the toughest races I think I've probably ever done. I would still go as hard and say it was harder than the Spine at times, but that result qualified me to go to the World Championships, UTMB, but also probably was the reason why I got into the Sky Running World Championships team as well, which was good. Not that I'm an expert in sky running, but it was a long race, it was an ultra, so that was the same year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Explain what the sky running is.
So that's like very technical, like high running, things with like cliff edges and ridgy and things like that, which I'm not actually that great on, but we'd looked a little bit at the route, hadn't we, and thought it was something I could manage. I definitely have got better. But
and you start to enjoy it a little bit more now, I guess.
Definitely. The Challenger North, like the shortest spine, did open up a lot of doors, to be fair. And I absolutely loved that race. It was great.
What was the weather like?
It was very, very cold, wasn't it? And it was a storm on the sort of first night, but the group I was with, we just kind of managed to miss the really, really bad points, when it was up high. So we were just in front of Scott, weren't we? And Scott got stopped at a checkpoint for 4 hours, and we managed to get right over.
Scott's one of the guys who we were coaching.
You were coaching, yeah.
Okay.
And so it was really, really bad weather, and I remember going up Crossfell being like, this is mental, and all the grass is frozen over in the shape of the direction of the wind and icicles, and it was just it was tough. And then
do you need sleep during that?
I did sleep at the next checkpoint from there was this little checkpoint, you probably heard of it if you know anything about the Spine, called Greg's Hut. And he gives noodles and hot chocolate out, and it's very bad in where it is. They're the best noodles you'll ever have.
He looks like Santa, doesn't he?
He does look like Santa, and he appears sort of like an apparition, doesn't he?
He's got 10,000 layers on, and on the outside layer is a big red jacket. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's on purpose. With a massive beard, and he literally goes up there. He's called John Bamber. Goes up there a few days before the start of the Spine, and literally camps out there until everyone's gone through, giving out people a mess tin with noodles in it. And loads of spices.
It's great.
And a hot chocolate, isn't it?
There's a hut there, is there?
It's
like, just keeping the hut
like a
there.
bothy.
Yeah,
Okay.
a little bothy. So I'd got up Crossfell, and but because it had been so cold and the weather was like really deteriorating, hadn't really fueled properly, and I was with a good group and we were like going pretty hard. So when I got into Greg's hut, which price stand for me in an ultra, like I fainted, and so they kept me for a little bit longer in Greg's hut than what you were allowed. So I slept a little bit there, and then had my noodles, my hot chocolate, and was fine. So they sent me on my way, and then I got to the next checkpoint, and John Kelly was there, and he's a very established like spine runner, isn't he? And he was just like, "Oh, are you going to sleep?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know." And he was just like, "Well, First Lady's sleeping." I was like, "Okay then, I'll just go and have a little nap." But I couldn't really fall over. And then my alarm went off because I hadn't put it off on my phone, and I was just like, "Oh, do you know what? Sod it, I'm just going to get up." And then it just so happened that the group that I'd been running with had been sleeping, and they were all getting up and getting ready to go, so we all went out together again on the next day, and it was good. I was left with them for a bit longer. But again, it's that second half of the race, like for me, and I'd had rest, I'd had good food, and I just started to feel really strong. And I just pulled away from them a little bit, and then we had a little chat about splitting up. And and I just sort of went off on my own after that into the snow.
Oh right, okay.
Wow. Weren't you running with the second guy for quite a while as well?
Yes, I ran with him quite close to the start. Tom, it was quite. I ran with him a bit, and then he took a very random line. He's a big, tall person in comparison to me, and he took quite a random line over the hill, and I was like, yeah, that's not for me.
Oh, right, okay.
So I lost him there, and then didn't see him after that, but randomly found his mobile phone out on the path when I was coming into the final checkpoint. But yeah, so
when you mentioned there about those lines then taking those, how much of the course do you study beforehand then? Yeah, I know you probably know checkpoint to checkpoint, but do you think I'm going to take these lines or this area depending on weather, or do you go to that sort of detail?
Yeah, we go on recce. Yeah, okay. So we like.
It's a massive difference.
Yeah, there was only probably about 50 miles of the full spine that I hadn't recce'd by the time I got to do it.
We'd gone over it a lot.
We'd gone over it, yeah. And it does make a big difference, yeah. So, we do look at the maps and we do sort of study, and like I'll watch what I can or read what I can, but nothing beats being out on the route.
Luckily enough, I'd done it the year before, so I could point out certain points that were quite difficult.
Yeah, I'm really lucky that quite a lot of the time in these races, like I am following in Orran's like footsteps, and that is like gold dust. And I just really hope that people reach out to us to use that experience and just have a chat about what they might see or what it might feel like, or tough bits and stuff like that. Yes, because we'd like UTS as well, the one in Wales, we'd recce'd a fair amount of that, hadn't we, too, and
got you used to the exposure.
Yeah.
I say, because you said that was tougher. From what you just described on the spine, what constitutes tougher?
I don't think I was 100% on the start line, which probably didn't help, but the course for UTS is brutal.
UTS 100 mile.
Yeah, the 100 mile. It's like a 200 miler. The times are more like a 200 miler just because it's like that. So there's 10,000 metres of elevation, just over actually, isn't there, over the 100 miles. But
it's proper rocky.
It's really tough terrain. And I was suffering a little bit with my throat, wasn't I? And probably a little bit, and then it was really, really, really hot. So it was between 25 and 28 degrees out of nowhere. So that added another layer. Normally it wasn't too much of a problem to me running, but it affected my feet.
Yeah. And then the first night in doing Connect. Yeah. This really boggy section. Yeah. It's probably about feels like longer, but it's probably only about 4 miles, 5 miles, something like that. But it's 4 or 5 miles of extreme bog. When we'd recce'd it in the lead up, Nikki went to jump the bog and fell into it, and I had to actually two hands try to pull her actually out of the bog, because she was I was like, quicksand. What are you going to do if you're here by yourself?
Yeah, I know. I was panicking.
Quicksand.
It's just a really super challenging route, isn't it?
But that was where the start your feet happened.
Yeah, so all the people call it trench foot, but apparently it's actually called immersion foot when it, you know, it all sort of ripples and things like that on your feet, and like all that part of the sort of top of my feet had started to pull away. And it was just agony, as well as blisters on top of all that happening. And I sort of come into 80 miles, like...
Yeah, Radu.
Yeah. And I was just like, just no. But I'd been running with a girl for a while, hadn't I?
Yeah.
And I was just like, no, I'm stopping here.
You made quite a solid team with her.
Yeah, we did really, like... We pulled together, you know, quite a lot to get to the end.
She wasn't accepting you wanting to quit.
She wasn't. She was not having it. She was like, nope, you're coming. You're not coming.
And you were like complaining about your feet. And I was like, let's get your socks off and see if we can deal with it. Pull the socks off. And like almost like all this... the blisters were... It was almost like an ogre's foot or something. It was like, holy crap. I was like, nah, they'd be all right. They're right. Went and got the syringes out and started sucking all the juices out of the hole.
So
and the smell was pretty bad as well.
It was just grim. It was
Dudley Butt, you've seen those photographs of it from the parish. That's what I always think of when you think of messy feet and like peeling back the skin.
Obviously wasn't quite as bad as what his, because the whole of like top half of his boot was coming away. But that was what was happening at the top of both my feet. Yeah. It was just so painful, wasn't it? Yeah. But Karine gave me some random Scandinavian painkiller, and we had syringes and things like that, and I just said, you know, to them both, like, if I cannot hack the next like 20 or 25 minutes, then I'm just going to turn back. And she was satisfied with that, wasn't she?
Yeah.
And then, but
just to give you an idea of the next section, so you come into Raidu, and the next section is the next climb is right up to Snowdon. It's like
which you've already done, haven't you?
You already did from the other side anyway. And it is just like with the feet the way that they are, like I could feel your kind of anxiety about the whole thing, but you've hobbled out, and by the other side you were kind of doing all right, weren't you?
It got to, I think with all ultras actually, it gets to a point where you can tolerate as much as you can tolerate, and I just felt like I could tolerate what I was doing, and I was like, it's only 20 more miles, 20 more miles actually took like 8 and a bit hours, like, you know, they're not normal like paces in UTS. And Karine had a bit of a dip, and like we had to walk the whole way sort of like back end, whereas by that point I was like at a stage where I was like, if I was by myself I could have ran in, not any sort of piece or anything like that, but I definitely could have moved.
10K
I could have moved faster,
but that's on like paved surface as well.
It was just like when you sort of start to realise, like, thank God I'm going to tick this off, because I was like, never again.
I don't want to start again.
Never again.
And let's assume Nikki's not here. When you're supporting, is it? Does she go in? Does it that stage? I can imagine some ultra runners like, give me food, give me it, or are they?
We're quite a solid team now, because like when I'm doing something, she's supporting me. When she's out, I'm supporting her. So we don't really need to chit chat that much. She comes in, I sort water out, and it's just like a few little things. And sometimes if she's quite low, like she won't even respond to me, so I don't have to make things up. Just kind of talk to myself a little bit.
So you mentioned GB Skyrunning. Is it GB Skyrunning? Is that the name of it? GB?
No, GB Ultras was your first race.
GB Ultras, okay. But I was part of the UK team for the Skyrunning World Championships.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about that.
It was great. It was in Spain, and it was a team. So there was 4 of us in the Ultra, and then 2 in the actual Sky race,
which is shorter.
Which is a shorter but more technical like race.
So you do both?
I just did the long one, and then there's also a like vertical kilometre
really
as well, which is like 1,000 metres of climbing, normally within around 5k, isn't it?
Yeah,
something like that.
Didn't have to select the team based on the budget and how well they think certain people in certain categories are going to do. If you get me, it might be a little bit the same for like say cycling or something, where you pick your best team. If you get me, I think that's kind of a good way of telling it. Like you did so well to get selected, because it wasn't just selected out of ultras; it was selected out of everyone in different teams.
The different categories. And there's supposed to be 2 other girls on the team, but unfortunately one of them, the travel just didn't work for somebody's work, and the other girl was out doing the OCC in France and picked up an injury while she was racing, so was unable to sort of make it across. But the team's been great, and we've met them at a couple of like other races, like Sky races and stuff as well, so obviously all sort of into the same thing, so we'll probably cross paths. But it was just really nice to run in a new place. Like I'd never been to that part of sort of Spain, and
you couldn't recce it.
Yeah, it was completely blind, and I had no real idea of how I would do because I hadn't done a lot of like sky running. And it does get really physical in comparison, I think, to ultra running. You're using like way more of like your arms and your legs than what you would do in what I'd class as a normal sort of ultra race. And towards the end of the race, where I normally start to feel quite strong, I was actually feeling knackered. So that was it was just such a great learning experience, and the team were brilliant. And Michael Jones, who put the team together, he runs Apex Running in the UK. He was a great sort of like crewer as well, and again he's sort of, you know, we've done a couple of his races now, haven't we? And he is the mastermind behind the course on UTS as well, so we've got him to blame for that.
He actually come up with the UTS course.
Yeah, he did.
And then kind of sold it to UTMB.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, but yeah, it was a great experience.
So can I ask, Orran, when we spoke just before Christmas, you mentioned you've been probably doing a bit less running, you've been setting up coaching. Yep. So the coaching you're doing, I think you got a platform as well. Talk a bit about that. But do you do that collectively, or is that something?
We do. So I do the coach. Like I'm the coach, but like given kind of Nikki's job, like she's like really good at kind of like that kind of in between, if you get me. So like she's really good at kind of chatting to the athletes. I was going to say clients, but I prefer, like I used to say like mates, but yeah, like athletes, if you get me. Like we do become like quite a closely knit family, and I think that's down to me and Nikki together, if you get me. Like she's really good at kind of putting out the information, organising communication, while I'm like busy like looking at sheets and like trying to put the actual plans together in the background or what have you. And then she's really good to bounce off. We have like some quite heated discussion back and forth about like my ideas and like so in that sense we're a solid team that kind of helps to develop our athletes, and I think our athletes get the best out of that as well, don't they?
How many athletes do you
so we've got about around 20 on the moment, haven't we?
Yeah, I'd say sort of 20 on what our coaching plans, and then we have like group sessions. So I'd probably say we're, you know, into the 30s and 40s now with that little crew.
With the people that come into the sessions.
Yeah.
Is that predominantly for ultra, or is it running in general that you?
It is running in general. Yeah.
I mean,
but it's kind of like, obviously, given our background, the people that kind of come to us with big challenges, like that's what we want, like to get our teeth into.
Because how is the ultra scene from people on the Isle of Man? Because I'm not sure how much we have here, but is there a lot of people that go off and compete and come to you guys?
Getting bigger as well, and like actually this year the actual ultra racing scene on the Isle of Man is you know great, because we've got the Manx Mountain Marathon coming up, which is 50k, and then Hospice are doing the 50 miler around the Radna Fallen, and then obviously we've got the Backyard, which is in October. So like in terms of having an ultra running like race calendar, it's pretty decent, to be fair. You know, and you throw the parish in there too as well. We've got an 85 miler, haven't you? So it's
and we coach people not on the island as well, don't we? And I think also the good thing about the community is because people can go away and recce stuff together as well, if you get me, because they're part of the community. It's easy for them to kind of like back and forth and be like, oh well, I'm doing this in Wales, you're doing that in Wales, a few months or you know, a few weeks up to like 8 weeks, whatever between it. Like maybe we can get out and kind of, you know, get some recce, you know, big recce weekend in and stuff like that. So it helps the individual to get off the island and go and do some like you know cool stuff, isn't it?
And you built a platform.
Yeah.
Computer nerd now.
Very much so.
Too much so. Yeah. So yeah, we built like the ESTR. Kind of started out just trying to get away from spreadsheets and working more with what I want to do and kind of sculpt it the way like I want it to work. And as you learn more, the possibilities get bigger, and it just evolves into this ginormous thing. I think it's ace.
So you'll interact with clients through there who can then upload their data from their Garmins, blah blah blah. So you're getting like quote unquote live data on what they're doing, how they're feeling, how their body is.
Yeah, absolutely. Stuff like that. Stuff like if somebody's got an ultra or something planned in the UK, and generally, like some of the maps are good, but things like checkpoints and stuff won't be put on the GPX. Like we can upload in the platform and take their GPX, put it in, put the checkpoints where they are, have distance markers and stuff like that. So kind of start to build a baseline for them, so then they can add notes to the checkpoints, back and forth about what kind of hydration plans should we have going into here. So instead of just having a white piece of paper with all this stuff on, they can see visuals on like the elevation and all this kind of stuff, terrain details, and also like some cool stuff like after the events. Like it's really good after the fell run events. I don't know, like on Strava where you used to be able to see I can't remember what it was called, like flybys. Yeah. Well, in our system, we've got like something very similar, but it's instead of just being a flyby, it's like checkpoint to checkpoint, so you can see how fast you were between checkpoint 3 and checkpoint 4 and what have you, and like your rivals.
Yeah, okay.
How close you were to them, and who was doing better than you and stuff.
Yeah, segments, like the segments.
Yeah.
Nice. So there's that as well, and a bunch of other stuff that's just, I don't know, super geeky.
So I'm saying, I think obviously I've known you for a while now, or I'm doing a 50-mile ultra that he talked me into. Why I didn't contact you now? It's a week away, but anyway, I'll muddle through it, I'm sure.
I'm sure you will.
So you mentioned backyard in that conversation, so let's finish off talking about that crazy event. So for those that either haven't heard about it or haven't come across, it's a fairly new concept, I guess, in ultra running, but give us a synopsis of what a backyard ultra is, and then what the plans are on the Isle of Man for the first ever one.
This is Nikki's geeky.
So I haven't done one, but I've been sort of into them for a long period of time. I think like just the mental challenge around what the backyard is. So for those people who don't know, it's 4.167 mile loop that you have to run on the hour every hour until there's only one person left. And you've got the whole hour to complete the 4.167 miles, and any time that you have left is rest time or recovery time, feed time. It is Laz Lake, who has come up for it, is an American who has got many mental challenges and races, including things like the Barclays, some people might have heard of. He's
not a runner himself.
No, but he has done big, huge, massive walking challenges. Like he's walked across America a couple of times, hasn't he? He tried again when he was about 70, didn't he? But didn't quite make it across. Anyway, so it's a really sort of interesting concept. You are running against yourself, but you need an assist in order to actually win. So it's like
do you want to explain that?
Yeah. So it's like a solo run, but you can only win if you're the last person standing. All right, so say you've ran for 48 hours and you think that you cannot do another lap. If the other person who's still running with you can do another lap, they'll be the winner. Last person standing is basically the rule of it, isn't it?
Yeah, but also I think that needs unfolding a little bit, because it's, if you don't know, it's like, if you get someone who's really good, just one person who's really good, who turns up to a race, but no one else is that good, then they're only going to wind up clocking like 20 laps or something, because they don't have someone else who's
to push
that
against.
good or mental to keep them going.
Yeah.
So as soon as it's just you, that's it. You can't just keep going around by yourself, which I think that kind of plays into it. I think that's like a really kind of alluring thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that last lap's really important.
So the distance for the lap 4.01, that's based on then, if you do 24 laps, 24 hours, that's 100 miles.
100 miles, yes.
So you're looking at 100 miles a day. For however long you can go.
That is the distance around the loop of Laz's backyard, which is where it came from.
Okay.
It's very niche to him.
So you're running the event on Arch Alligan, I believe.
Yes.
On the island.
Correct, yeah.
I think entries are full now.
Yep, entries are full.
200
people,
crazy people to do that.
Which is incredible, because the majority of them are from the Isle of Man.
From the Isle of Man.
Yeah, they are. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of, when I saw the entries full, it doesn't surprise, but also does, because obviously it's a niche kind of, if you ask probably 80,000 people would be like, I'm not doing that. But obviously there's 200 people willing
absolutely.
willing to go into a hole.
Or to go that deep into it.
And there's quite a lot of people from a lot of types of sporting background as well, which is interesting.
So you can obviously walk. I mean, there's obviously tactics around, and for those doing it, I'm sure there's, me included. You in it, mate?
I am.
Yeah, you are. Of course, you are. There's obviously many different ways to do it. We're not here to give away our trade secrets. But stuff you read online, from obviously part of it's hydration, part of it's fueling. It's also obviously there's a massive piece in your head that's to do with it. I guess it's also, as you're getting problems, it's managing the problems. Much like the parish, when you see a blister, you need to manage it. And then also maybe running some hard, steady, even potentially fast walking some. Because I guess I think we mentioned off air, there's maybe some parish walkers in there as well. So different ways to attack it, and it'd be interesting post-event to see how the different the sort of
the sleep deprivation as well, as that starts to kick in, how people are going to deal with that as well, I think.
Because we were talking earlier, like I think there's some really strong people sporting wise, but there's not a lot of people who have went under sleep dep like that. That's probably the only sort of piece of the puzzle that people won't have experienced. But unlike sort of maybe other ultras where it's a bit more difficult to actually get sleep often, that is something you can do in the backyard, but you don't know how you're going to cope with being able to fall asleep, or whether you're even going to actually get to go to sleep, or will you have enough time, and
we'd be able to stay awake in between going to sleep.
Can you train that? Is there anything else when you're doing that, when you're saying can you fall asleep, like, not that I plan on trying to recreate this, but it's is that something from an ultra point of view when you're doing it? Is it something you either can or you can't, or it's just the condition of how you're feeling? It's not that you can go and think, I guess unless someone's hugely mechanical, can just go, right, boom, 5 minutes, I'm gone, and wake up and feel okay. I think it's going to be...
I don't think you can train it. You can do things to minimise the deprivation, like banking sleep in the lead up to the event and stuff like that. That's really important. So like having those extra like couple of hours on the weekend and stuff like that before.
But there are people who are kind of naturally better than other people, aren't they?
Yeah.
And wouldn't you say that vets tend to do quite well in these events?
They do.
So
I reckon mums as well, with like many sleepless nights with mums and dads. But there's like, it's interesting to sort of see, the female interest scene. Obviously I'm quite into that because that's my scene, but like talking about like people who've had babies and stuff like that, and how that's another level for them. And again, it's taking that identity away from the sport. You've got another identity there because you're a mum or a dad. And it gives you another purpose, doesn't it? And it makes the sport less intense, so you're more relaxed, so you perform better. But it's sleep dep. I think if you try and train it, you'll probably just end up ill. Do you know what I mean? And just being fatigued or getting injured or under recovered or something like that. So I think sort of banking sleep's probably the best. And I think sometimes you'll get it right, and other times you'll get it wrong as well, won't you?
And one thing might not work the next time.
Yeah, because like the two experiences I've had of it, or probably three now, but the two spines, in the first spine in the Challenger North, like I saw really vivid single images that I would look like quite often. I'd think I was seeing a photographer, or I thought one day it was like really early in the morning, and I was like, these people like sitting out like with a black and white blanket eating like their breakfast. I'm like, what are they doing? And I'm like, no, they're not there. But the next time I had sleep deprivation, like on the full spine, like it was awful. It was really intense, really full on. I was by myself, and I was absolutely convinced that I was getting sucked into demons and all sorts of really like horrible like images,
and the wind was howling.
And I just felt like there was things screaming at me, and it was really, really intense that time. Whereas it was just like little images the first time I'd had it, but obviously it was more sleep debt.
It is a horrible feeling when I know when you talk about having hallucinations while you're like during sleep deprivation, people are interested and they almost want to, like when you talk to people at the start of these races, it's like, oh yeah, I can't wait for the hallucinations to kick in and stuff, but it's a horrible feeling because you don't know what's real and what's not. You feel like you're trapped in a dream and you can't get out of it, and the feeling is just so horrible.
Weird,
it's so horrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't put this on the promo advert that I read.
Yeah, it's something interesting to think about, like, because if you're having like little naps often, like that's the guy that holds the world record for the backyard, like that's what he says is like really helpful to him. So it's just with, like you say, whether you can get a nap in or nod off quick enough, especially as it obviously goes on, you're in more pain. I guess there's also challenges that I've not really considered yet, but of like how long do you stay in the same clothes? You get changed.
Obviously, depending on the weather.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
There's a documentary which I'm sure, I don't know whether you've seen it, mate, but there's a documentary it's on YouTube now called Surrendered.
Yep. Yeah,
which obviously, have you not? If you, for people that want to understand it, it's. I get the impression it's a few years old. But it's a great story. I won't say the outcome of the race, but it's a great story and gives you great insight into really how people going deep and it looks like one guy's cracked and then it goes again, doesn't it? It's really interesting, the psychological side of things.
Razzlebach, I think that's how you pronounce it, is a backyard race company in the UK, and the director has been really helpful with us sort of chatting through things. But he has a really good documentary from a UK backyard last year, wasn't it? And that's definitely worth a watch for people who have never done anything like it before and would quite like to see what the format's like and stuff like that.
How people how their plans unfold. And
and it's a very it's a plantation. It looks like really similar, like in terrain and stuff like that. So if people are looking to do a bit of like backyard research, that is.
What's the name of the doc? That one?
Oh, I can't remember. I actually think it was Razzlebach, like Backyard Ultra.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure if you put it into YouTube, it'll come up. But that was really good. And it's also just nice, like seeing, some people feel sort of the pressure, like, I have to go for this many laps. And it was like people are just getting involved, and some people were only doing 4 laps. Some people did 12. Some people wanted to do 30 but did 24, and it's just nice.
They all had their own story, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. And the gentleman that won it, Ian Bethune, he's from Scotland. He actually he's been to a bunch of the World Championships, but he also just went and did Barclays. So him and Laz must be like buddies now.
What you should do up there is set up a space where, like a little room that you can go in and ask the athletes at the start, what's your motivation to be here? And then during the event, after like 12 hours, get athletes to come in and go and just almost you can then just snapshot. And even to appreciate they're busy because they want to refuel and sleep, but just 1 minute, 2 minutes.
Questions, like obviously Rich, you've had on your podcast, and that's who works in my team. We've like got a really great like opportunity to get some real sports psychology insight in a really niche event. And I think the thing with it being here on the Isle of Man is like, is even different to ones that are in the UK, is like you literally will know so many of the people that are there at the start and the finish, and like even if you don't know them that well, like you'll see them at races, you'll see them out training, you'll see, I've seen them doing the parish, and like that connection that you feel within a race, I just think it's going to be like super magnified in the backyard for the Isle of Man. And I think like it really will make it special, because the parish is special because of that, because of all the people that are taking part. And then you get that little sort of concentrated niche of people that are, wanting to just see where the ceiling is. Like, I think that'll be
it's interesting you mentioned the ceiling as well, because it's not, and I imagine, I just speak for myself, I know I'm not there to be that, if you're the last person, great, but it's to see how far and how deep you can go. Which might be 12 hours, or it could be 40 hours. It's a different psychology, I guess.
So when do you tap out?
Ring that bell. Never. Or when the ambulance comes. So that the running of that event, is there like association, or is it you just run it, you have to get your own insurance, and how does it work from that perspective?
So it's me and Orrin and Kim Tastag who are like on the committee, I would say, at the moment, and it's just us at the moment. But we're hoping to put together, over the summer months, like a working party that, of volunteers, because we'll need people out on the route during the event. We'll need people at the start and finish, and but it's very much just a 3-man band at the moment, isn't it?
But we have been back and forth with Laz about getting it.
Oh yes, yeah.
I think that's what he was meaning.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So you can get your events sort of classified by the head Laz, and sort of that can then mean that you lead on to having your own team that could go to the World Champs and stuff like that. So essentially we could be looking at in the future having an Isle of Man backyard team, which would be cool, that could actually go to the World Champs and things like that. So yeah, it's
all right. So there's
exciting.
World Champs in that space.
Yes, there is very much so. So there's there's certain qualifying events that you have to do and certain laps that you need to have ran. And it's high numbers. It's like 60 for the females, even higher for the males.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's exciting.
So for context, people, I think the world record's 5.5 days.
Yeah.
So you're talking 500 mile.
Yeah.
And for the ladies, I think it's 3.5, 4 days.
So actually, the world record holder Sarah Perry is coming over to launch it. So she'll be there on the start line.
Okay.
So I met her during the Spine, and she. We've kept in contact because we did run together for a little bit, and we're in a couple of checkpoints together. And we just decided we were going to go back and ask her if she wanted to come over.
Did she say no?
It was before she became the world champion.
And then she just I'd asked, and then she became world champion and world record holder, and I was like, oh god, she's never going to come now. But we've touched base, and she definitely is. She's not sure she's going to be able to go full Sarah Perry because she's actually got the world champs a couple of weeks, or British champs, which then qualifies her for the world champs. I can't remember which way round.
So she's running it as well.
She is going to come and do a few laps for sure. Yeah.
A few laps.
I was going to say, when you said when you tell me you have to win, I was like, oh, against us and see.
But she'll just be out for a few, hopefully, or we'll see.
And we do. So obviously, there's only one winner, is the one that's still left standing. But we have implemented a team. Yeah, a team. Where you've people kind of winning as well. So do you want to? Yeah, you just similar to the other team events, your accumulated laps, So you're still in the solo, but also you
like the parish.
It's like the parish, miles.
And what teams? Numbers?
4. Yeah,
okay,
yeah, 4, you can have 4 in team.
Right, okay, and then by the end of the race, just total up the laps. And
So that can keep you going.
Yeah. And then the members who've gone home have to come back later on after they've had a good sleep. Yeah, we need to do that actually, don't we, Matt? We need to find a couple of members to think. And also, obviously, it sounds like we're doing a podcast with the world record holder at some point just before it.
Definitely. Let's
get that in now. Great conversation. Good to get your background. Congratulations on all your ultra running. Very inspiring. And obviously, we look forward to the backyard coming up, and obviously we didn't even talk about the Manx Marathon, which is obviously an iconic event for the Isle of Man as well, isn't it?
It is.
Well, you're not doing it this year, though, are you?
I'm not. No, I've had to give up my beloved race. I'm running. I got selected to run for Scotland in an international race in the Lake District the week after. So, having to.
How far is that?
That's 53k. It's really similar to the mountain marathon, but a bit of a different route, isn't it? It's not it's not like the Manx Mountain Marathon's very much fell mountain marathon, but this is it's trail race, so fast and big really climbs and big descents. So
you on duty again, are you?
Yeah, we've wrecked it twice, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
Wrecked it twice, gone over, broke the course down and what have you.
Yeah.
And we've got a good plan.
Yeah.
And where are you with your running at the moment, Aaron?
Yeah, so I've picked the mileage up, kind of come away from the computer a little bit and force myself off it. And this year, my main focus is to try and get my fitness back to. I might not get back to where obviously I'm getting older now as well, but get my fitness up to a decent enough level and to try and take on there's quite a lot of kind of challenges in the UK, but they have these rounds. There's a round in Wales, there's one in England, and there's one in Scotland, and they're all really kind of tough, really gnarly rounds. And the idea is to get round them in 24 hours. So one's the Bob Graham round. You must have
in the Lake District.
I've not come across that.
Okay, so one's Bob Graham round. The one in Wales is called the Paddy Buckley round, and then up in Scotland you got the super gnarly one, which is the Ramsey round. And throughout the summer, try and get these ticked off.
Yeah,
24
right,
hours.
okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, they're quite tough. Like, I've been with some mates while they've been smashing away and kind of like trying to do it as well, and
All on the fells.
and all yet to like finish within 24 hours.
Oh, okay.
So they're not easy by any.
Yeah, so there's, would you say there's less finishing than more?
A lot less.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's-
right.
like say the Bob Graham round at the end of leg 3, leg 4. Yeah, at the end of leg 3, like Westdale is called like the graveyard of failed Bob Graham.
Oh,
When you get there, you realise you're just not going to make it in 24 hours. So it's just like time to check
And they
out.
just have cut-offs today, and they're just like, you can't go on because you...
Well, you just know that you can go on if you want, but if you don't get it within 24 hours, you just don't get added to the list. So
Brutal.
It's
a bit like the parachute anyways. There's that 24-hour cut-off, isn't it?
Yeah.
Great.
Excellent.
Well, good luck with them.
Yes, absolutely.
Just a cruise in the countryside for 24 hours. Thanks for your time.
No, thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for inviting us.
Word out from Martin.
And word out from Matt.
Poor flimsy humans. Don't you wish you were flawless like me? A towering inferno of physical perfection?
I hate to pop your blimp-like ego, but you're not perfect.